actually increase my chances of being selected as the DV lottery winner? Yes and no. The reason being, DV lottery is a random process. By random, we actually mean that the computer just selects the number of people who are chosen to pass through to the next stage, which is about submitting the documents and what have you, up to the interview. Okay, so the computer randomly selects people and it doesn't select the exact number. Mind you, the exact number of the people who are required for the visas are at least 50,000. Okay, so the computer will select randomly the numbers for the first people who are going to pass through the next initial stage. Now bear in mind that in this initial stage, everyone does have an equal opportunity, so we are all starting at an equal footing, at an equal foundation. There are actually no loopholes that makes you have an unfair advantage over the next person. For example, I've had people say, I am a doctor, I'm a medical doctor, but I applied for DV lottery, they still rejected you. Well, I had to break it to you, but being a medical doctor, being a high school student with just a certificate, having gone through the years of experience as a medical doctor, you did think that probably you had a better advantage, or you have an advantage over a person who is just coming out of high school with a high school certificate. Unfortunately, that is a myth, and that is also a lie, because DV lottery is just a random process. Whether you're a professor, whether you are a high school graduate, you all come to the ring presented with the same equal chance for you to actually win the DV lottery. But we come to the yes part, because I remember in the beginning I did answer you saying we have a yes and a no. No, you can't increase your chances because DV lottery is a random process, like I have already explained. Now let's get to the yes. Yes, because yes, because there are really a lot of things that you can do to increase the chances or the percentage of you winning the DV lottery. Now let's delve into it. It has been estimated that at least 40% of all the people who apply for the DV lottery, their applications are rejected on many different things without even passing through the initial stage. Now let me explain to you, statistically speaking, you have at least 1.4 around there, 1.4% chance of winning the DV lottery when everybody else applies. Now what this means is that when the 40% have already been removed, that gives you a higher percentage. I hope you are following what I'm saying. That gives you a higher percentage of at least 2.5%. Okay, after they remove the 40%, you have at least 2.5% chance of you to win the DV lottery. So for you to even qualify or have that 2.5%, this is what we are going to talk about in this video. That how do I get to double my percentage to this 2.5? Because in the beginning everybody is on 1.4, but there are definitely going to be people who are going to be swept off, who are going to be cut off at the 40% range. So how do we do it? Number one, we are going to talk about the qualifications. Okay, you have to make sure that you are really qualified for this DV lottery. For example, if you apply and you're coming from a country that does not qualify for the DV lottery, you are automatically on the 40% that are disqualified. So making sure that you are eligible by country, you are by nationality. Okay, you are eligible by country, by nationality, you are also eligible by the work experience or by the education. That should put you in the range. So that is point number one. Okay, so if you want to know more about the education qualifications, about the work experience qualifications. I am definitely going to put a video on this topic, exploring it in depth, because if I do right now, we are just going to have a long video. Okay, so let's move on to point number 2. Number 2 is for you to actually pull through to the 2.5%. Make sure that you actually fill the application form correctly. There are spaces that are supposed to be filled. Make sure that you fill every space. Questions as they are, make sure that you answer to what is being asked. Please do not answer outside the question, okay? Outside the questions. Now, there are so many examples of questions that each and every year people tend to make a mess of. The examples, the likes of the questions, like country of city, or where you were born and stuff. Those questions usually do have a lot of issues, so make sure you do complete thoroughly. You do your thorough research, take your time, okay? Make sure you complete your application form correctly, because after doing this, you are guaranteed you have a 2.5%. Number three, we are going to talk about seriously about timing. I know as a lot of people, we don't have a problem with time. Generally, if you know the wording is at 10, you will arrive at 12 p.m. That's ourselves. We cannot help but be proud of ourselves, okay? Personally, where I come from, I do have people with a lot of problems about time, but when we come to this, let's try to push in within the required time. You are supposed to complete the form within the required time of the month, like I already told you in my previous previous video, that when are the DV lottery dates. So make sure you complete the form within the exact time that is stipulated, not earlier, not outside the time frame. Let's also talk about this time frame in depth. Now, you want to try and avoid the first days. If you know what I'm trying to say, try to avoid the first week or the first 3 days. Reason being, everybody is really rushing. Everybody is on it. Everybody is rushing. So the savers are overwhelmed and you want to avoid this. But after some time, like 5 days, 3 days, everybody is generally relaxed. That's when we want to take this opportunity and fill our application form, so that when you just finish up filling your application form and you submit, you instantly get your codes and everything, because sometimes you'll be submitting, it will be failing, you'll be submitting, it will be failing, until you end up submitting a lot of submissions, which I am going to come back to, okay, about this submission of documents. Now we just want to talk about time. And also, now let's talk about the people who try to apply at the end of the time. You're left with 3 days, 2 days. Desist from applying during this period. The reason being, everybody is trying to apply. All those people who have not heard about DV lottery, they're now coming back and trying to push through like I can make it last minute. When you do that, you risk making so many mistakes, number one. Number two, you risk not being even able to submit your application, because the savers will be overwhelmed. So when somebody would ask me, beautiful chaos, when exactly is the right time to apply? Now my answer is simple. Avoid the first 3 or 5 days and avoid the last 3 or 5 days. In between, it's all up to you. Any time of the day, anything, make sure that you apply within the stipulated time. Now let's go on to the point number 4. So number 4, this is for the married people. Now on this marriage issue, I want to make sure that I clarify that some things we call marriage are not actually recognized by the United States department that deals with DV lottery. Now, what am I talking about? We are talking about partnership. We are talking about marriages that are not registered. Now, please note that these marriages, even though you apply single-handedly, they are not exactly recognized as a marriage. So we are talking about marriages that, are not partnerships. I hope and do believe that you really understand me what I mean by partnerships. So if you're married, let's get back to business. If you're married, you want to understand that as a single person, if you have already done the 4 things that I have mentioned to you, you already are moving towards having 2.5%. Now, what is the advantage of being married in this whole situation? Because if you are married, you can be able to apply as a single, like as individuals. If your wife applies, she has 2.5%. If you apply, you have 2.5%. Now, what percentage does that give you as a family? That gives you a rough estimate of about 5%. So with this 5%, yes, your chances are higher, because if your wife is chosen, she gets to pick you and you go with her as the spouse. Now if you're chosen, you get to pick her and you go together as a spouse. So this only applies to people who are not in partnerships, people who have marriage, because the DV lottery, they do not, the program, okay, they do not accept any marriages that are partnerships. Okay, so make sure that if you do have a wife or husband, make sure all of you do apply correctly. Make sure that all of you follow the other steps, and then definitely you are guaranteed for having higher percentages. Now to the fifth point. I think it's number 5. I hope I didn't lose track. Okay, so the other thing is we have to encourage each other. If you have a family of 5, everybody that qualifies for the DV lottery, you have to encourage each other to try and apply. Now, what does that help? If one of your household people is chosen, that presents a new chance. Now I know that maybe if a child goes, you would think, okay, the child cannot carry me and stuff. Okay, that part I am not really clear on that. I will have to do some research, and definitely I will come back with information regarding that. But as far as I'm concerned, I want to tell you that if your daughter or your son has moved to another country or has crossed, that's a dream that has settled in your family, because whatever they are going to achieve there, you are also going to be part of it. You are also going to eat from it. So do encourage each other. At least if one family member actually wins, that turns the whole situation for the whole family, right around. It's not necessarily that all of us we should win. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. But what we do if we are presented with a chance, at least if one of us manages to go forward, we are also going forward as a family. So make sure that everybody who qualifies in your family, by country, obviously if you qualify, that means your whole family qualifies. By education, I don't know, that depends with your household. By any other thing that is required, make sure that they do also apply to the DV lottery. Now let's move on to the very last point of making sure that you increase your chances of winning the DV lottery. We are back and we are discussing the very last chance of you to increase your chances of winning the DV lottery. Now there goes a saying that without playing, you actually don't know if you have a chance. Okay, so the very last thing we can talk about is actually entering the DV lottery, actually applying the DV lottery, because without even playing the DV lottery, you unfortunately have 0%. You don't have a chance to actually win the DV lottery. So make sure you actually play. What do I mean about this? Maybe this seems so normal to you to say, okay, beautiful chaos, obviously for me to win, I actually need to play. Yes, you do actually need to play. Now let me explicitly explain what I'm trying to say. Now most of the times you submit your application, you are supposed to get a confirmation card. Now your application is not complete until you get that card. Make sure you get that code. That code is the one you will keep and next time when the DV lottery results are out, it's the one that you are going to use to check your results. Now, so if you submit your documents and you do not get that confirmation code, I would rather say that you did the whole process, but your application exactly did not go through. So make sure you actually apply. The meaning being, make sure you actually at the end get the confirmation code. Now, my loves, I know that this is a lot. If you are expecting something to make you have an unfair opportunity, an unfair advantage over the others, this is my bad. There is not such a thing as a diversity lottery, like we have already discussed in this whole video, and we have discussed the chances and how you can be able to increase your chances. Now, I do hope that you are going to follow through, and I do hope that if you haven't watched my video about photo requirements, I do suggest that right now you rush and watch that video, because remember, we said you have to qualify. Okay, you have to make sure that you qualify by every instruction that has been given out. Now, there are so many websites giving information about the DV lottery, but every day in my videos I always put in the description box, I always put in the description box, okay, the official DV lottery website, so you can go there and check some of the things. Now, I did check over the comments of the last video, and I realized some people are still asking me, show us a picture, show us this. Now, sometimes if I do these things, my videos will be too long and some people will not be able to follow through. So when I say I have put the things in the description box, please try and go back to the description box and check these things out. I do have templates of pictures that, you know, are said to be the normal standard. So go back to that video, go down and see for yourself. There are templates there, there are websites there that I encourage you to visit and learn more about it. Now, if you do have any questions, you do have anything that you want me to cover about the DV lottery, make sure you drop the comment in there, down there. I don't know what it's called. You just make sure you drop your comment. I will be there to answer your question. Now, as I always say, if you have anything that you want to discuss further, my Instagram is always open. I'm always available. So make sure that you hit me on Instagram and we can talk about it. I am glad and I will be happy to help. Now, my loves, this is from me to you until we meet in the next episode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that every time I post a video, you will be among us to one of the first. Beautiful chaos, I'm out.